Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here who's joining our program this evening. Thank you for watching, guys. We love you very much. Thank you for being here. Folks, we got quite a few things we need to discuss tonight. First, we're going to talk about earthquakes. Then I'm briefly going to talk about some very disturbing news that I found on the internet today. And I believe it's very, very disturbing. I want to share that with you tonight. It's unreal. I never would have believed it had I not seen it. Let's first talk about earthquakes. I'm going to talk about earthquakes, then a little bit of politics, and then I want to talk about preparedness. Fridays are always Preparedness Fridays. Fridays are always Preparedness Fridays. So we want everybody to be prepared. I want you to be thinking also about questions that you might have for me. I want to talk specifics. I want to talk about preparedness things that you guys might want me to discuss tonight. What things do you think you want to hear about when it comes to emergency preparedness? Think about that for the next few minutes. I want to talk about that with all of you tonight. But be advised, we're going to do it. We're definitely going to do it. First off, earthquakes. Let's show you earthquakes tonight. Okay? USGS is only showing one earthquake here in South America. Quite unfortunately, only one earthquake here in South America. Isn't that unreal? Isn't it quite unreal that they would only show one earthquake when there's actually 17 earthquakes here in South America? They don't want us to know what's going on. It's very apparent that this agency has no desire for us to know what's going on. We're showing one earthquake over here in northern Chile. This is a huge area for earthquakes. Probably, I want to say, 8 or 9 of the earthquakes here, representing 17 earthquakes throughout South America. At least, I want to say 8 or 9 of them are right here in northern Chile. This is representative of this. This is a 4.3 earthquake. This is also 138 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. But notice where it's at. Let's zoom in here. I want to show you. They say it's 53 kilometers northeast of Calama, Chile. That's probably true. Look where it's at. Look where this earthquake is at. Notice where it's at. We have had volcanoes up here in the past time periods. Look at that. These are not present day volcanoes that are erupting, but this is a very volcanic area. Yes, we do see some earthquakes here because of tectonic processes. This is the edge of the plate, the South American plate. But if you look closely, we see volcanic processes here as well. This earthquake right here very much could be part of magma beneath the surface. Magma beneath the surface. Again, at least 8 or 9 of the earthquakes here in South America are a result of earthquakes throughout South America. But these are only representative of northern Chile. Like I said, about 17 earthquakes throughout South America today. Incredible. Incredible. Let's go over here to Southeast Asia. We're not showing any earthquakes over here in Tonga or even Fiji today. However, right here, okay, right here, this is a 4.4 earthquake. This earthquake hit at approximately 5:34 this morning Eastern Time. This is a 4.4 earthquake. This is also 10 kilometers deep. This larger earthquake is the one we talked about yesterday. This is a 5.3 earthquake here. We talked about this yesterday because this hit yesterday morning, and they're still showing it here. Incredible. Incredible. Let's go over here to Papua New Guinea. Okay, Aveyah, Indonesia here. Aveyah, Indonesia. This is a 4.3 earthquake here. Moderate earthquake. Moderate earthquake on land, guys. On land. Again, for those of you that are here to this channel and haven't seen us before, this is a very, very poor area. The people who live here don't have much money at all. They live in cardboard and wooden shacks here. Okay? Don't hardly have any money. This is a lower side of the moderate scale, 4.3. The moderate scale goes from 4.0 to 4.9. USGS and the other agencies are labeling them light earthquakes. There's nothing light about a moderate earthquake. Moderate earthquakes cause moderate damage, not light damage. Okay? This is in a hilly region of Indonesia here. 163 kilometers west of Aveyah, Indonesia. Aveyah, Indonesia is over here. Okay? Right in this area right here. Okay? This earthquake is a 4.3, the lower side of the moderate scale. Moderate earthquakes cause moderate damage. Okay? That's what's here in Indonesia here. We go over into central Indonesia. Okay? A 4.4 earthquake here. Sanana, Indonesia. This also is approximately 385 kilometers deep. This is a medium deep earthquake. Okay? Medium deep earthquake. Very shallow earthquake is 10 kilometers deep. 200 kilometers deep. 100 to 200 kilometers deep. Yes, that is still a shallow earthquake. However, now this one being a 300, excuse me, not 381, I'm sorry, I misread that. It's 38 kilometers deep. So this is a shallow earthquake. 381 would be still a moderately deep earthquake, but this is 38 kilometers deep. Okay? This is a 4.3 earthquake also over here in Tobelo, Indonesia. We get a lot of earthquakes here in Tobelo, Indonesia. This is also 163 kilometers deep. Still a fairly shallow quake. But they're only showing 3 earthquakes here in Indonesia between Papua New Guinea, well actually 4 earthquakes between Papua New Guinea and all of Indonesia together. 23 earthquakes here in Indonesia. They're showing 3. What a joke that is. What a joke that is. Again, look, as we did yesterday, let's go and look at Myanmar. We've been talking about Myanmar for almost about 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we had an 8.4 earthquake here. An 8.4 earthquake. Today, they got hit with another 4.8 earthquake. 4.8 moderate earthquake. What that original earthquake didn't take down, these upper moderate earthquakes are shaking them down. Okay, the buildings have already been damaged. They're still receiving damage again and again and again every day. This is not the only earthquake here. There are a dozen earthquakes here in Myanmar and Thailand today. Okay, dozen earthquakes. Those are aftershocks. Each and every earthquake takes down more buildings and houses that were damaged. Now we're talking over about 4,000 people dead. 4,000 people dead and over 5,000 people injured. Incredible numbers. Over here in northern India, okay, we've talked before about this major earthquake in Myanmar. The seismic energy is spreading. This is a 4.3 earthquake over here in northern India. Seismic energy spreading here. We've had another earthquake over here in Nepal. This is in the Himalaya mountain range here. Again, that same earthquake fault that caused that 8.4 in Myanmar is spreading seismic energy over here to the edge of this plate here in Nepal. This is another 4.3 earthquake here. 10 kilometers deep. Very shallow earthquake. Now, folks, we've seen 3 earthquakes so far, actually 4 earthquakes so far here in the Himalaya mountain range since the major earthquake in Myanmar. I still believe that energy has not left this area. That major energy has not left this area. It is escaping bit by bit. We still have a lot of energy built up here. We probably are going to see another major earthquake here in the Nepal region, up here in the Himalaya Mountains. I believe we're probably going to see another 7.0 earthquake right here in this region. This is not over. This is not over. Okay? Be ready for it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Also, we're not seeing any earthquakes in Iran. We're not seeing any earthquakes in the Turkey-Syria border region. Over in Spain, Greece, nothing. Nothing in Italy. We darn well know that there are earthquakes here. USGS is not even showing them. Now, I get a lot of flack for calling them USGS. I've gotten tons of flack for doing that. But folks, somebody's got to take a stand. Someone has to take a stand. When we don't see any earthquakes around the world, there's a problem. There is a real problem because seismic energy moves. Seismic energy moves. And when it moves, we need to see it. Why? Because as that seismic energy moves, it's going to travel to other locations. It's going to travel to other locations, making other locations more vulnerable to that seismic energy. And when that seismic energy hits here, everybody's going to wonder why. They're going to wonder why that area got hit. We know why it got hit. Okay? I've been telling everybody about it for a very, very long time. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. Yes, over here in the Dokanese Islands here between Greece and Turkey here, we still have earthquakes here due to magma beneath the ground going to the volcanoes here. All of the volcanoes around the world are recharging. All of the volcanoes around the world are recharging. We're still seeing earthquakes here in what they call the Dokanese Islands. All these islands here belong to Greece. We're still mainly seeing earthquakes here between Amorgos Island, right here. This is Amorgos Island, and Santorini to the south. Why is that? Because, folks, we have underground or underwater volcanoes here. Not underground, but underwater volcanoes. Folks, the magma is hammering against lava bed in the crust of the earth. The active magma is hammering against lava beds here in the crust of the earth, trying to carve out magma channels. That's what's causing the earthquakes. The lava hitting the rock beds here in the crust. And as that magma cruises through this, actually doesn't cruise, it hammers out against it. But as that magma moves, it's going to cause earthquakes. And at some point in time, that magma is going to try to make its way to the surface. And at that point in time, we will have a volcanic eruption. Could it happen soon? Possibly. I just don't think it's going to happen soon. But it will happen. It will happen. Over here in Greece, there are earthquakes here, 14 earthquakes here in Greece. Most of those earthquakes are over here in the Aegean Sea up here. Most of those earthquakes around Patras. This area, Patras, is named after the Apostle Peter right here. This whole area, this whole central area of the Aegean Sea is getting hammered by tremors, most of them. We also have some minor 2.0 to 2.9 earthquakes in this region as well. We have earthquakes over here between Athens and southern Greece here. Athens is right over here. Athens is right over here. Over here to central Greece here, we still have earthquakes, a lot of earthquakes. That's continuing every day that happens. And for USGS not to say anything, there's a problem. The seismic energy coming out of eastern Turkey and the Syria border region here comes over here and goes south here around Cyprus. This is the island of Cyprus. It goes around here down the Anatolian Fault, out here in the eastern Mediterranean. Continues out here and goes south of Crete, Greece. Then it goes up to the western part of Greece here. We get earthquakes. We get a lot of earthquakes. The same fault zone goes over here into Italy. Yes, we have a lot of, we don't have a lot. We have quite a few earthquakes down here in southern Italy and Sicily. Okay? Presently. And we keep talking about this because I'm not going to let it go. Right here, we have a volcano that is hammering away at the underbed of lava. Active magma hammering away at the underbed of lava here. Yes, we have a volcano here. This volcano erupted about 200 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. But folks, this volcano is eventually going to go as well. Parts of this area have been evacuated because these earthquakes continue to hammer here. This area is highly urbanized, as you can see.
Magnitude 5.2, depth 64 miles, 7 minutes ago.
Indonesia just got hit by a large 5.2 earthquake several minutes ago. You heard it from my earthquake tracker. Okay? But this is a highly urbanized area, guys. When this area goes, there's still people that are going to be staying here. There's going to be a volcanic eruption. Yes, there will be fatalities and injuries. Okay? That's what's going to happen. Okay? Up here in north central Italy here, right up here, there's about 19 earthquakes here today. This varies day to day, anywhere from, say, 17 earthquakes on up to 25 earthquakes in this area every day. We started seeing this about 2 years ago. After this series of earthquakes here started, there was a 5.2 earthquake. A 5.2 earthquake right here, just offshore here, on this fault line. On this fault line. This fault line, again, comes out of Turkey. Comes out of eastern Turkey. I believe some of these earthquakes are a result of this fault line. Again, there is a lot of energy here. To have this amount of earthquakes here in northeastern Italy wouldn't happen, except there's a lot of energy locked up here. Yes, I still believe we're going to have another large earthquake here over on this side of Italy. It's going to happen. It's a matter of time. Over here in northern Italy, here in the eastern and western parts of Italy, just tremors and minor earthquakes. Over here in the Alps, in these Alp mountains, we have mostly 1.2 to 1.7 tremors here. Over here in Switzerland, Germany, Austria, and even France, we're having 1.0s to 1.7 earthquake or tremors here, and we have some 2.6s, 2.7s here in France. Okay? Southern Spain here. Typically, we have 1 or 2 earthquakes here. Today, we have 3 in southern Spain. Here at the border region of Spain and France, we typically have 2 earthquakes here. One is a 1.2 today, and the other one is a 2.7 here at the border region of Spain and France. Okay, that just happens. But again, why are we not seeing it? Why are we not seeing it? Okay, over here in Puerto Rico, I keep talking about earthquakes here in Puerto Rico. Southwestern Puerto Rico. Southwestern Puerto Rico. What have I been saying about southwestern Puerto Rico here? 5.5 years ago, nearly 6 years ago. December 26th and December 28th, 2019. We had two man-made earthquakes here. They were major earthquakes, an 8.0 and an 8.4. 8.0 hit on December 26th. The 8.4 2 days later on December 28th. Major damage here. Major damage. Homes and buildings collapsed. Homes and buildings collapsed with that shaking. Massive shaking here. We are still having aftershocks from those earthquakes. Okay? This, for example, this is a 2.1 minor earthquake here in near Indios, Puerto Rico. This is also 1 mile south-southwest of Indios, Puerto Rico. It's a 1.2 tremor. Just to the north of that is also 2.4. This is in Indios, Puerto Rico. 2.4 here in Indios, Puerto Rico. One other earthquake over here in southwestern Puerto Rico is right here. This is a 2.3 near Palmarejo, Puerto Rico. Palmarejo, Puerto Rico. They say it's about 2.5 miles southwest of Palmarejo, Puerto Rico. Palmarejo, Puerto Rico, right there. Okay, right there. But again, these earthquakes here are a result, and they're aftershocks of the 8.0, 8.4 earthquake, December 2019. Okay, this earthquake over here in the Mona Strait. The Mona Strait is a body of water here between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. This earthquake here is a 3.0, small 3.0. Earthquakes here in the Mona Passage are normal. Those are normal earthquakes here, okay? Up here to the north of Puerto Rico. Notice this line of earthquakes here. We have a 3.2 earthquake here. This is a 3.1 earthquake here. And right up here, just south of the Cayman Ridge fault zone, this is a 3.4. 3.4, 3.1, and 3.2. These earthquakes were released by the Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge is an earthquake ridge, an earthquake underwater ridge here. Okay? That Cayman Ridge comes out of Central America. Comes over here from Guatemala. It goes east from Guatemala out here into the Caribbean Sea. Then it goes north for a short time. Then it continues its eastward journey south of the Cayman Islands after they're named after. Okay? It goes north of Jamaica here. Then it skirts the southern edge of Cuba. It continues eastbound over north of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, east of Puerto Rico. It goes east and around the U.S. and British Virgin Islands here. And then we have the Leeward Islands here. North of the Leeward Islands, the Cayman Ridge turns southbound and continues southbound out here into the Atlantic Ocean. At which time, once it gets just south of the northern part of Venezuela, it turns westward and goes west into Venezuela right here. Goes south of Grenada here. This is the island of Grenada right there. It brings earthquakes all over here, and we have had earthquakes here as a result of the Cayman Ridge. That's a story of the Cayman Ridge. I don't often tell the entire story, but I want you to see it here. There are earthquakes here. USGS is not showing all the earthquakes here in Central America. There are 14 earthquakes here in Central America. Right here. Folks, this is in actually it's right near the border of Guatemala and southern Mexico here. This is a 4.4 earthquake here on land. On land. This is just 4 kilometers. supposedly southeast of Nuevo Vicente Guerrero. Okay, this is a 4.4 earthquake. This happens to be 122, 123 kilometers deep. Okay, shaking. Yes, there is moderate shaking here. There is moderate shaking here. We have some buildup of population right here. There is population here. Now, I believe what they're talking about is right here. No, it's not. I'm sorry. Thought that was a small town here. Maybe it's just right here. Okay? Right here. Nuevo Vicente Guerrero here. Right there. 4.4 earthquake. Southern Mexico. It's not the only one, guys. Every day I hear my earthquake tracker tell me of 4-pointers here. 4.2, 4.3, 4.5 earthquakes hitting here in southern Mexico all day long. There are 4.0s, 4.5s, even some 4.7s here today. That seismic energy also includes a lot of threes, mostly threes. I rarely ever see a 2.0, 2.5 earthquake. Most of these earthquakes here in this area are 3.0s to 3.9s. 3.0s to 3.9s here. There are about 23 or 24 earthquakes here in southern Mexico today. That seismic energy also goes up here into the Gulf of California. Yes, we've had some earthquakes here in the Gulf of California, but they're not going to show on the map because heaven forbid they show earthquakes here. Again, that seismic energy comes out of southern Mexico, up the San Andreas Fault. Up the San Andreas Fault. The seismic energy coming out of Central America and southern Mexico goes up here along the San Andreas Fault here. All the way up here into the Gulf of California, all the way up here into northern Mexico here. That's what happens. Up on the northern end of the San Andreas Fault, up there, the seismic energy goes south, travels southbound. Here it's traveling northbound. Yesterday we told you about a lot of earthquakes here. Actually, we did not. I'm sorry we did not show you earthquakes from yesterday. Maybe I need to show you that before we talk about preparedness. But these are the earthquakes that have hit here today. We have some minor earthquakes over here in Calexico, California. This is a 1.5 tremor here. This is a 1.5 in Heber. 1.5 in Heber, California, right next to the Mexican border, US-Mexican border. Up here, okay? Westmoreland, California. This is just east of Westmoreland. This is a 1.2 tremor. We come up here to Calipatria. Yes, we showed you, well, I didn't. I had planned on showing you earthquakes here in Calexico. Not Calexico, I'm saying Calipatria, California. These are earthquakes. These are earthquakes here. This is a 3.3 small earthquake here. 3.3 small earthquake here. Right here. This is a 1.1 tremor. This is a 1.1 tremor here. This is a 1.6 tremor here. This is a 2.5 tremor here. This is a 1.9, 2.0 earthquake here. 2.0 minor earthquake. This is a 1.8 tremor here. These are in Calipatria, California. Now we're also showing some earthquakes over here, right here. This is a Salton Butte volcano. This is a Salton Butte volcano. The Salton Butte volcano is active. The Salton Butte volcano is active, guys. This is a 1.5 tremor here. This happens to be a 1.5 miles deep, 3.5 kilometers deep, a 1.5 miles deep here. This is a 1.1 here. This is also a 1/4 mile deep. Again, this is where the Salton Butte volcano is right here. These are in relationship to the volcano. The volcano. Now, what I want to do is pick up where we left off last night. We were talking about Southern California, but we never got down here to the Imperial Valley. So let's do that right now. I want to make sure you have the latest data that we have on these earthquakes, because that's exactly what they are. They're earthquakes, and we can't take that lightly. Okay? Why can't we take it lightly? Because, folks, at some point in time, this is going to pop. At some point in time, this area is going to pop. I can guarantee you it's going to happen. It's literally when. It's not if, it's when. Okay? Now, let's go down here to the Imperial Valley where we are right now. I want to show you what is going on. Okay? First off, let me show you the earthquakes in Calipatria right here. Look at all the earthquakes. The USGS is not even showing us all the earthquakes. Look at these earthquakes here. Again, the seismic activity here shown on the top of this seismograph started yesterday morning. Actually, the night before last year. Look at these earthquakes. Yes, we have some 2.0 earthquakes. We also have some 2.5, 2.6 earthquakes. But up here, this biggest red earthquake here that you see, the red is computer generated to get the seismologist's attention. This earthquake hit at approximately 3:48 p.m. yesterday, or the afternoon before last. Okay? Wednesday afternoon. Folks, what we're seeing here is at least a 3.0 earthquake that lasted about 10 seconds. It's a 3.0 earthquake that lasted about 10 seconds. Look at these other tremors and earthquakes. Okay? Now, I'm going to go over here and look at this earthquake that you see here on the upper right here. Right here in the upper right. Folks, that is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. These earthquakes should continue, guys. This seismic energy is going to continue. Look at all these tremors and earthquakes throughout the day, and then early yesterday morning, after midnight. Look at these earthquakes here. Notice the tops and the bottoms of these seismic events have been cut off. That's because the agency does not want us to know how strong these earthquakes were. That's the problem. Again, this is in Calipatria. Okay? This earthquake here on the left-hand side in red. Again, the red is generated by the internet, by the computer, telling the seismologist, hey, I'm going to get your attention. That's the only purpose of the red denotation by the computer. This earthquake here on the left happened just after 1:30 yesterday morning. Folks, this is at least a 2.5 earthquake as it sits right there. But again, the top and the bottom have been cut off. This was probably a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. Then I want you to look at this wider earthquake over here on the right-hand side. Again, this earthquake hit at approximately 1:55 a.m. yesterday morning. Again, it's cut off at the top and the bottom. As it sits right here, this also looks like a 2.5 earthquake. But again, they cut it off at the top and the bottom because they don't want us to know the exact strength of the quake. This is probably a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. It also lasts about 15-20 seconds. That's why it's so wide. Look at the other seismic signals here to the right of that. The secondary wave to the right is primarily the secondary wave period. That means the seismic energy didn't die down very far. It continued. That seismic energy continued over here for another 3 minutes. It continued for another 3 minutes here. Yes, it's minor earthquake energy here, but it didn't last past about 3 minutes. Look at these other earthquakes here. Look at this wide earthquake here on the left upper right of your screen here. This earthquake hit here just after, I want to say 6:04, 6:05 a.m. yesterday morning. Look how wide it is. This earthquake shook for 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Again, they cut the top and the bottom off because they don't want us to know how strong it was. This is probably a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake. 3.5, 4.0 earthquake. Lasting 30 seconds. That's an awful long time for an earthquake. I wouldn't want to be in an area where you're going to feel this earthquake shake like that. Not for that long a time. A 4.5 earthquake, 4.0, 4.5 earthquake can make your dishes rattle, dishes and glasses rattle in your cupboards. It can make knickknacks and books fall off shelves. It can knock photographs or anything hanging on walls off of walls as well. Moderate earthquake. We have had times where we've seen moderate earthquakes hit, breaking glass. Breaking glass. Such an earthquake hit in 2014 in Los Angeles. They said it was a 4.5 earthquake. I believe it was a 5.0 plus earthquake. It broke glass. It also ruptured water mains and gas mains all over Los Angeles. Fractured windows all over Los Angeles, ruptured gas mains and water mains all over LA. This kind of earthquake possibly did that yesterday. Okay, look at all the other energy here. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Let me narrow this seismograph down so you can truly see all the earthquakes here. Typically here in Calipatria, we see anywhere from 100 to 150 earthquakes every day. Lately, we've seen 60 to 75 earthquakes here in Calipatria, according to the seismograph. But again, look at the holes on the seismograph. Look at the holes on the seismograph. The holes are when you hardly see any activity at all. I believe that during this time period, they turned down the seismograph. They turned down the machine, the seismograph. But look at this energy here. They typically turn down the seismograph between 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening all the way to about 6 o'clock in the morning. Look what happened yesterday. Look what happened yesterday. Look what happened yesterday, guys. At 6 o'clock in the morning, we're seeing good-sized earthquakes. Why do they cut off the tops and bottom of them? They don't want us to know the exact strength of these quakes. They were probably larger. We don't see any magma churn signals here. I don't believe this may have anything to do with magma. But they've turned down the seismograph before. These probably were large earthquakes. I'm certain that these wider earthquakes here were large earthquakes. I know it for a fact. I know that for a fact. But they're not letting us see exactly what's going on here. They don't want us to know. They absolutely do not want us to know what's going on here. Okay? But that's not the only place. That's not the only seismogram I want to show you. Let's go over here to North Shore of Salton Sea. North Shore of Salton Sea is right here. Let's move this seismogram down, or this earthquake map down here. And right now I'm talking about this USGS map here. North Shore Salton Sea is this community here at the northeast shore of the Salton Sea. Okay? Typically, we only see tremors here. We're only seeing tremors here. Okay? But yesterday morning, on this blue line, the blue line here would be 6:30 in the morning on the left-hand side. So right here, we're talking about 6:39 a.m. this morning, or yesterday morning. Folks, this earthquake is a 2.0 earthquake. Caltech is not letting us see exactly what's going on here. Okay? Not letting us see it. Michelle McConnell is asking here in the chat, may I ask why the earthquake people don't want us to know about these earthquakes? I've talked about this before. I'm going to talk about it again, Michelle, because I don't think you've been here. I don't recognize your name. Demon Catman tried to help explain his politics. Politics, finance, and control, absolutely. What happens? The politicians are telling the USGS not to allow exact information to go out. They're telling the managers of the USGS, the managers of Caltech, not to allow us to know exactly what's happening. Why? Because if they let us know, people get very scared because we see seismic signals increase. We're seeing the strength of these earthquakes increase, and the numbers of earthquakes are also increasing. Now, if USGS and Caltech were allowed for us to see it, people would get scared because they would see all these earthquakes and they were feeling them as well. They're feeling these earthquakes. But if the USGS was able to really release what the information they had, people wouldn't stay in the area. They would move away from these earthquakes. They would move out of the area. The politicians want to remain in power. So the politicians are telling the managers of the USGS not to be honest with us, not to allow us to see the strength of the earthquakes and the number of earthquakes, because that means seismic energy is increasing. Seismic energy is increasing. They want to keep the populations in place because they want to continue to get paid. Let me give you a for instance. Say we lived in a community up in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know where you live, but say you live in the Pacific Northwest along the coastline. Let's Just imagine for a minute a town called Ocean Shores, Washington, and yes, it does exist. Several years ago, a man named Adam, here on YouTube is known as Marfugal News. Several years ago, he was in North Shore, Washington, not North Shore, but up there along the shoreline of Washington. Okay. When he was there, he talked to the general population that he could run into. It was about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. He talked to the police and fire department. Nobody he talked to knew about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. The Cascadia megathrust earthquake is due any time in the Pacific Northwest. The Cascadia megathrust earthquake is going to be a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. Unreal. USGS is being told to not say anything. Why? Because of the population there. And you just said you were over in the Memphis area along the New Madrid Fault. The same thing applies there. If the United States Geological Survey was allowed to talk about what's going to happen on the New Madrid Fault and what is actually happening, people would move away from the area, including all of those of you in Memphis, Little River, Little Rock, Arkansas, Marston, Missouri, all those areas. All of you would move away from the New Madrid Fault. I can tell you right now, no, we did not talk about the New Madrid Fault and all the earthquakes that they've had this week. In the past, once a week we talk about the New Madrid as well, and as well in the Pacific Northwest. Okay? Yes, we've talked about the Pacific Northwest this week. But Ocean Shores, Washington has got a population of probably about 15,000 people. But the police department, the fire department, and the general population has no idea what's going to happen. Most of them know nothing about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake, and yet it's going to happen. Major earthquake causing major destruction. The same thing applies to the New Madrid Fault where you live. But you're closer to having a major earthquake on the New Madrid Fault. Last week, if you go back to one of my programs last week where it talks about the New Madrid Fault in the title, we show you the seismographs from various towns and areas around the New Madrid Fault. There's not major earthquakes, but there's minor earthquakes and small earthquakes happening up and down the New Madrid Fault. 3 years ago, none of this was going to happen. All we saw happening on the New Madrid Fault were tremors, just tiny tremors. In the last 3 years, the seismic energy on the New Madrid Fault has increased substantially. It's gone from tremors to small earthquakes in 3 years, from just barely, not even noticeable by mankind, except on these computer graphs put out by the seismographs. These seismographs are just graphs of the energy. What's happening on the New Madrid Fault is horrendous. The seismic energy buildup in 3 years has more than quadrupled. It's gone from tremors up to minor earthquakes, up to small earthquakes, and even up to 4.0 earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault in the past 3 years. In my mind, I believe we may have a New Madrid earthquake in the next 2 years. We may have a New Madrid earthquake in the next 2 years. Why? Because of the increase in seismicity. The number of earthquakes and the strength of the earthquakes are increasing. Now, if the USGS was allowed to talk about it, people would move away. But what is not being talked about? People just blow it off. Oh, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's happening right now, and so we don't believe it's going to happen. But people need to know what's going on. That's why we are on this channel talking about it. Michelle McConnell, I just told you how long you might have on the pneumatic fault. Maybe 2 years. Maybe 2 years, give or take a year. These seismologists will tell you, oh, nothing's going to happen in the next 25 to 50 years. I call BS. Because they're not letting you know what's going on. They are not letting you know what's going on. Okay? Here at North Shore Salton Sea, all you are seeing here are tremors here. The San Andreas Fault runs up and down the Salton Sea on the east side of Salton Sea. They back this USGS map up down here. Look at the fault line that runs on up and down the east side of the Salton Sea here. That is the San Andreas seismic zone, the San Andreas Fault. Let me take you over to Bombay Beach, right here. Now we show just up here in the left-hand top of this slide here on your screen. That's North Shore Salton Sea, where the San Andreas Fault is just showing tremors. Guess what? Look at this. This is what happened at Bombay Beach yesterday. This is what happened at Bombay Beach yesterday. Look at that. Now, some of this energy, they've cut the tops and the bottoms off these signals here, such as this black one here on the left-hand side. This started just after 6:01 a.m. yesterday morning. This is at least a 3.0 earthquake as it stands right there. But we don't know how strong that earthquake really was. I'm going to say it's at least a 3.5 to 3.7 earthquake. The energy on the green line above that, okay, that green line above it starts off at 5:45 a.m. Come 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes later, almost 5. All of a sudden, we're seeing 3.0, 3.3 activity, small earthquake activity. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. Ray Spur saying this is typical for Bombay Beach. You're right. Typical. Usually we have even more earthquakes than this. But even here, the agencies cut off the top and the bottom of these signals. They don't want us to know the strength of these quakes. As it stands now, these are at least 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes, but we don't know exactly how strong they are. This was probably a 3.5, but look how long the shaking lasted. It started off after 5:45, or actually 5:49 a.m. yesterday morning. 5:49 a.m. yesterday morning. Look how long it continued. It lasted for almost 2 minutes, and then it let down a little bit, and then it started up again. That seismic signal lasted nearly 3 minutes. 3 minutes worth of shaking. The people here around Bombay Beach felt this earthquake. They felt it. Bombay Beach is a ghost town. The only people at Bombay Beach today are people that are transient. They're tourists staying here. Look at the earthquakes here at Bombay Beach. Look at the earthquakes here at Bombay Beach. Like I said, usually we see more earthquakes than this. A lot more earthquakes than this. Now, I'm going to go back to the map here. Again, over here at Calpatria, I showed you what's going on there. There is no seismograph on the Salton Butte volcano. It's underwater. However, this earthquake right here, Westmoreland, this is 10 kilometers northwest of Westmoreland. Westmoreland is right down here. Let me show you the seismogram from Westmoreland. I think you're going to get blown away here. This is a seismogram at Westmoreland. Westmoreland, California. It's right there. Okay, look at all the energy here. I kid you not. First, up here at the top, over on the left-hand side on the green line is 5:45 a.m. We go 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes later. At least a 3.0, 3.3 earthquake, at least. Again, the top and the bottom of this signal have been cut off. Probably closer to a 3.5, 4.0 earthquake right here. Over to the right above that on the red line. The red line is 5:15 in the morning on the left-hand side. Over here, this is about 5, I'm going to say 5:12 in the morning. 2.2, 2.3 earthquake here. And then it jumps around here. Look at the other signals here. All the rest of this is tremors here in Westmoreland. All the rest of that is just tremors here in Westmoreland. Now, let me take this down. I want to show you a town called Imperial. Imperial. Look at the seismic activity here. No, I'm sorry. This is El Centro. I want the town of Imperial, California. This is the town of Imperial. I'll show you El Centro in just a minute. Okay? This is incredible. This is incredible. Yes, Ray, we're not talking about the Mid-Atlantic Ridge right now. Okay? That volcano over on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge is not moving right now sufficiently to even say it's even there. Yes, it does exist. Ray Spur, let's concentrate on what we're talking about here. Let's concentrate on what we're talking about here. Okay? Again, this is the town of Imperial in California. Let's go over here to the USGS map and let's show it to you here. Okay? This is the town of Imperial, guys. It's a good-sized town. It's a good-sized town. These are the earthquakes that hit yesterday in Imperial. Look at that. After 9:15 yesterday morning on that red line. Look at the seismic activity that lasted like 5 minutes. 5 minutes of 3.0 earthquake activity. The top has been cut off. The top of this seismogram, or the top of this seismic energy on this seismogram has been cut off. It lasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Then the secondary wave lasted 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. Okay? 3.0 earthquake activity, and it may have been more. May have been as much as 3.5 seismic activity. 3.5 small earthquake. Look above it on the green line. On the left-hand side of the green line is 545. This is about 544. At this point in time, we may have had 2 3.0 earthquakes, and then the energy dropped down. But out to the right of that second 3.0 earthquake, that is called a secondary wave. The secondary wave lasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. So this earthquake was at least a 3.0, probably a 3.5 earthquake, both of them. Both of them. This one on the red line after 9:15. After 9:15. Let's go down here. This earthquake started at approximately 9:20 a.m. yesterday morning. 9:20 a.m. yesterday morning. Earthquake lasted 5 minutes. Seismic energy, 3.5 earthquake. 3.5 earthquake. The people here in the town of Imperial felt that quake. They felt that quake. Unreal, huh? It surely is. Now, let me take that down and show you the town of El Centro. I want to show you the town of El Centro now. It's further south here. This is the town of El Centro right here. The town of El Centro. Over here on the left side of El Centro. On the left side of El Centro. Let me see if I can get this thing to focus. We have a naval air station over here. It's not letting me show you the naval air station right here, but it's there. Okay? Naval Air Station El Centro there. Let me show you the seismogram. Let me show you the seismogram at at El Centro here. Let me show you this to you. You have every reason to know what's going on. You have every reason to know what's going on. It's happening. Look at that. This is what is happening in El Centro here. Look at all these earthquakes. 3.0 earthquakes, 3.0 to 3.3 earthquakes here. All day long, off and on all day long. There are probably 20 earthquakes here. 20 earthquakes here. I want to show you one that is very concerning that I haven't seen happen here in quite some time. Look over here on this blue earthquake on the left-hand side. The top and the bottom of this seismic signal has been cut off. This earthquake lasted about 12 seconds. This was at least a 3.5 earthquake. The energy here is cut off at the top and the bottom of this signal. Typically, we see 3.5 earthquake. Look out to the right of that earthquake as much as you can on the blue line. The seismic signal on the blue line to the right of that quake, that is a secondary wave. The secondary wave kind of gives us a good idea how strong these earthquakes were. This was a 3.5 earthquake. 3.5 earthquake. Okay? Lasted about 12 seconds. These other earthquakes did not. They may have lasted a second or two, maybe 3 seconds, but not 12 seconds. Incredible. Incredible. Now, when this earthquake sequence first started last year, we might have seen 5 to 10 earthquakes. Now we're seeing 20 or 30 every day. Every day here in El Centro. Incredible. Incredible. Now, I'm going to take this down briefly. I'm just going to take this down briefly, guys, because I want to show you one other town here, over here in the Imperial Valley. It's a town called Holtville. A lot of years ago, quite some time ago, I was in high school at the time, and I was part of a speech and debate tournament. And we came down here to the town of Holtville. And I don't know why it's not focusing here on the city. The city's maybe a town of about 10,000 people right there. 10,000 people in Holtville. There is a seismograph here in Holtville that is at the Salton Sea Desert Research Station. Salton Sea Desert Research Station. Holtville, California. Well, guess what? Let me show you what is going on in Holtville. Look at that. Seismic activity galore down in Holtville. All kinds of earthquakes. 3.0, 3.4 earthquakes here. Start off with just tremors at 5 o'clock in the morning at the top of this seismogram. By 5:45, 5:46, actually 5:40, 5:48, 5:49, start off getting up to 3.0 activity. You can see that. The tremors and earthquakes abound all over this seismogram. Look at that. Upwards of 3.0 earthquakes happening all day long, off and on, all day long. You can see what I'm saying. Now, they are not showing any of these earthquakes on the map, are they? They didn't show them yesterday. They showed some earthquakes over in Calipatria, but they're still not showing all the other earthquakes, literally, all over the map. I say, why not? Why not? They're there. They are there. Now, since Miss McConnell is here, let's go over here to the new matted fault. Right here. Michelle McConnell. Mrs. McConnell asked about the earthquakes here on the Pneumatic Fault. She lives in Memphis, Tennessee. USGS not talking about, are they? They're not. Memphis, Tennessee is right about here. Right about there. Huge city. Huge city. Memphis is probably a city of about 300,000 or 400,000 people. I don't know for real. I haven't checked the population of Memphis in a long, long time. I drove through Memphis on the way out here from Utah. I moved from Utah all the way out here to North Carolina. I drove through Memphis on 40. Okay? USGS doesn't talk about earthquakes here, but there are. There are earthquakes here in Memphis. Earthquakes up and down the entire fault line. Up and down the entire fault line. Right here. Right here. You see the Pneumatic Fault right here. On the eastern side or the western side of the fault, we have right here we have Marston, Missouri. Yesterday, Marston, Missouri was said to have a 2.7 earthquake. They have 2.4, 2.5 earthquakes here all the time, as well as a ton of tremors here in Marston, Missouri. This is the center part of the Pneumatic Fault. The center part of the Pneumatic Fault. The Pneumatic Fault goes all the way north to where? Where does it go to, guys? Goes all the way up here to the Great Lakes. It stretches all the way up here to the Great Lakes. Goes all the way up here to Indiana and Illinois. Illinois right there. Illinois right there. Goes over here into Indiana as well. We have earthquakes here. We have earthquakes and tremors. 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes here in Indiana and Illinois. We keep showing them to you. We keep showing you these earthquakes almost on a weekly basis. We used to show them every week. I'm telling you right now, the seismic energy here is real. The seismic energy here is real. Around Little Rock, Little River, Arkansas. Little River is just a suburb of Little Rock. Around this area, guys, guess what? We're seeing tremors and minor earthquakes. Tremors and minor earthquakes all around this area. It's happening. It's happening. We can't deny it. We can't deny it. Again, December 1800 is when the Pneumatic earthquake, actually December 1810. December 1810, the Pneumatic Fault started lighting off. The seismic energy lasted until January 1811. Okay? In 2014, actually 2011, I was in Arkansas at Little Rock, Arkansas, at what they called ADAM, the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management. We conducted the first earthquake drill about the Pneumatic Fault on the anniversary of the 1811 quake. What we saw was amazing. I arrived in Little Rock on Friday before the drill. The drill actually kicked off on Monday morning. On Monday morning in Little Rock, Arkansas, we had a 3.5 earthquake. There were actually three 3.0 enlarged earthquakes here on the pneumatic fault, stretching up to Tulsa, Oklahoma. This was a kickoff for seismic energy here. We had not seen this kind of seismic energy on the pneumatic fault in forever. And after that, it didn't happen again until just about a year ago. Just about a year ago, the seismic energy really started taking off. It's been going ever since. It's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. What do you think is going to happen? Those of you that have been watching the pneumatic fault with me and watching what's been going on in the Pacific Northwest, you have to agree with me. It's going to happen. These major earthquakes are going to happen. Scientists a long time ago thought that the pneumatic earthquake was going to be, or had been back in 1811, they thought it was only going to be a 7.0. That's as strong as they thought it was. But now, scientists have reimagined that earthquake. They now believe it's probably close to an 8.0. An 8.0 quake. We've seen seismic energy abound here. It's gotten larger and larger. Now, I cannot tell you for a surety how strong these earthquakes are going to be this summer or by the end of the year. But the earthquakes are increasing on a daily basis. The number and the strength of these earthquakes are increasing on a daily basis. I will not tell anybody, I will not tell anyone to leave any area that we talk about. My whole business is telling you how to prepare and what you're going to have to do to prepare. That's what we do. We tell you about the dangers. We tell you about what's happening, what's going to happen. But it's up to you to make some decisions for your life and the life of your family. We know for a fact what's going to happen. That's unmistakable. That is unmistakable. We know for a fact what's going to happen. But it's up to each one of us to prepare for what's going to happen. Okay? Now, do you folks want me to talk about earthquake preparedness, or what other kind of preparedness items would you like me to discuss? We've got about 45 minutes to talk about this. What would you like me to talk about? I can talk about planning. I can talk about earthquake preparedness, what you might need to do before, during, and after the quake. I can talk almost anything that you want me to discuss. What would you want me to talk about? A short time ago, probably within the last couple of weeks, I talked about a checklist you need to have for emergency preparedness kits. I can cover that again. I've talked about survival. Lyle Wiley is talking about tornadoes. Yes, I can talk about tornadoes. Literally all day long. All day long. During the past few weeks, it's going to get longer. Okay? We've been seeing tornadoes happen for a long time. Usually tornadoes we used to see happen between, say, April and the end of the summer. Now we see tornadoes all over the country, literally all over the country. Tornado Alley used to go along the Red River to the north, from North Dakota, Minnesota, all the way down into Texas. Used to. but occasionally it would only stop over in, say, Oklahoma. Now we are seeing tornadoes up and down the entire area from the Canadian border south of around Fargo, Grand Forks, North Dakota, all the way south into Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, even Virginia. Tornadoes. Mark is asking, what side of the Mississippi River should I be on? I can't tell you that. I cannot tell you what side of the Mississippi River to be on. Number one, it would be unethical for me to do it. I will never tell anyone where to live. I will never tell anyone where to live. You need to make that decision yourself. Hurricane Heather says west of the Mississippi. Mississippi. There are tornadoes up and down the entire Pneumatic Fault. Yes, the Pneumatic Fault follows the Mississippi River. It follows the Mississippi River. Most earthquake faults are underneath the rivers. Most earthquake faults are underneath the rivers. But tornado season is different. Tornado season is unreal. As Hurricane Heather says, it's the peak of the season from the 18th to May 3rd. But be weather aware. What have we seen during the past few weeks? Very dangerous tornadoes, literally. Oklahoma, over in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, stretching down to Texas, going over to Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Alabama, and over towards the east shore of the East Coast. Everywhere. Literally everywhere. These tornadoes are everywhere, guys. Everywhere. It used to be you'd see tornadoes up and down the center part of the country. Now they're everywhere. I have my own ideas why that is the case. I have my own ideas why that is the case. Okay? I believe that some of the weather that we are having, including tornadoes, is man-made. It's man-made. I don't have the slides ready to talk about that tonight. But everywhere where there's a great big, huge radar dome, major cities, they can activate that weather dome, that radar dome. And they can literally activate those domes and they can push the weather to either side of the dome. And once you have enough domes activated, it acts like a great big huge wall, pushing those tornadoes and weather either to the north or the east. Okay, I've seen it. I've seen it. Hurricane Heather says there is Tornado Alley, Dixie Alley, and the Great Plains. Yes. And all the way to the east. All the way to the east. We've seen major tornadoes, EF1 to EF5 tornadoes. From Oklahoma, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, south to Missouri, south to Kentucky, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South and North Carolina. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen. It moves. Last week we had a tornado that was on the ground for an hour. We had one tornado that was on the ground for an hour. The tornado was 700 yards wide. The tornado is 700 yards wide. You saw on YouTube and other social media the damage that that tornado made. Okay? You saw the damage that that tornado made. In one day, in 24-hour time period, we had 90 tornadoes on the ground. 90 tornadoes on the ground. From an EF1 to an EF5. Okay? Our buddy that's here on YouTube, there are several people I frequent here on YouTube when it comes to weather. I favor Ryan Hall Y'all. And yes, there are other people, including Mr. Weather, here on YouTube. But there are also other people here on YouTube that talk about specifically tornadoes and the moving storms. Weather chasers. Weather chasers. They chase the tornadoes. These are great people. Brian Kopic, Reed Timmer, among others. They take their lives in their hands. Nathan Hester, one of the new weather chasers. Mr. Hester is on our channel. I haven't seen him today, but he frequents this channel as well. He's a weather chaser. He gives us information. He gives me information about this area where I live. Renee Sevi says, anyone remember the tri-state tornado went through 3 states? Folks, I will never forget a tornado that I got called to after the fact. Joplin, Missouri. Joplin, Missouri. At the time the Joplin, Missouri tornado hit, I believe it was an EF5. I lived in Salt Lake City, Utah. I was asked by people that I had done disaster drills in their states. I was asked to fly to Joplin. And when I got to Joplin, I was deeply disturbed. I had tears running down my face because of what I was seeing. It deeply hits me even now. One hospital was destroyed. I was asked by the administrator of the hospital and several doctors there to try to gather people from all around this country. I sent emails out to a lot of my friends who are doctors and nurses. And yes, they got on planes and flew to Joplin. They needed doctors and nurses desperately. Again, the hospital was completely destroyed. Incredible. Incredible. Oh, crap. I'm sorry, it still bothers me a great deal. The whole town was destroyed. The whole town was destroyed. But to see the area around the hospital. You all know that hospitals are huge big buildings. But I'd never seen a building like that destroyed. A lot of people got killed that night. And yes, I've helped people recover from these disasters. I have always been willing to help people and communities recover. Man, that hurts. Everyone needs to understand when something like this hits, it's hard to recover from. Most of the people in Joplin, I don't think, had tornado shelters. They sheltered in place in their homes, in the center of their homes, away from windows and doors. You don't want to be near a window and open it up. Allow your house to be exposed to the kinds of winds with those tornadoes. The tornadoes already break glass. That is why they tell you to get out of the area where the windows are. Go into the center of your home, in a hallway, for example. Shut the doors, even grab a mattress off a bed and put it over the top of your head. Because all kinds of things can be flying around your home when a tornado hits. But you need to be in a room away from windows and glass. Most people stay in their hallways and take cover with their children. That's what you need to do. And you need to stay there until the tornado moves on. How are you going to know the tornado's moved on? When you don't hear any more wind moving. Typically, tornadoes sound like a freight train. A lot of wind and a lot of sound. A roar. A roar accompanies the wind. Winds of tornadoes are upwards of 90 to 165 miles per hour. Very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. I'm telling you this. Very, very dangerous weather. When I lived in Fargo, North Dakota, we had tornadoes around us. We never had a tornado in Fargo when I was there. But the year before I got there, I believe it was 1966, because we got there the fall of 1977. August, September 67. August, September 1967. 66, 67 time period anyway. A major tornado went through downtown Fargo and destroyed it. Destroyed it. Renee Stevie says an EF4 is 166 to 200 miles per hour. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You need to understand what's going on. You might wonder how to recognize a tornado. Forecasters are predicting the number of violent storms that we're going to have in the Midwest. They're saying that conditions are ripe for violent tornadoes in the nation's midsection, from Texas to Minnesota, over to Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, Louisiana, Arkansas, Louisiana area, down into Mississippi and Alabama. We always want you to be prepared. So prepared, we try to give you the information you need to know what's going on. Visual evidence. How do you recognize a tornado? If you don't have access to a professional, meaning a meteorologist there with you or in your neighborhood that's talked to you about these events, if you don't have access to a professional, you may be able to notice a pattern. I'm going to give you a list of typical signs of a coming tornado. Now, we've talked about inflow bands before. They are clouds coming in through your area. Clouds coming into your area. You can see bands of weather coming in. Bands of low cumulus clouds that extend from the storm center to the south or to the southeast. If you see inflow bands, it means the storm is gathering air from several miles away. Sometimes you will see what they call a beaver's tail. It's a smooth, flat cloud extending from the base of the storm to the east or northeast. It's usually found in the southern edge of the precipitation area.
Location San Juan, Argentina, class light, magnitude 4.5, 11 minutes ago.
Another 4.5 in southwestern Argentina. Also, we've talked about wall clouds. That's exactly it. It looks like a great big huge wall of clouds, a wall cloud. This is a cloud that's usually attached to the visible precipitation area of the storm. These wall clouds sometimes are up to 2 miles in diameter, and they mark the strongest updraft of the storm. Updraft, winds moving up. Updraft winds, okay? These appear for about 10 or 20 minutes before the tornado. So if you see a wall cloud, you'll see it appear about 10 to 20 minutes before the tornado. Lyle Wiley says in the ghost train, yes, a ghost train. It does sound like a train, guys. It does. You might also see what they call a rear flank downdraft, a downdraft of wind coming from up in the air. A downdraft. It's called a rear flank downdraft, like this. It's actually a curvature of clouds like this, okay? A downdraft of cloud cover. It typically looks like curtains or rain wrapping around a cloud base. It will cause gusts of downward wind bursts. This will cause a hook echo effect. The hook echo effect you've heard the meteorologists talk about, both on television and here on YouTube. The hook echo effect is like the bottom or base of the tornado. Hook echo effect, the bottom or base of the storm. That hook echo effect, when it comes up on the radar, usually means a tornado's touchdown and it's bringing debris from the ground, bringing debris up off the ground. The hook echo feature on radar. Okay. Next, one of the other things you might see is a condensation funnel. A condensation funnel. Okay. This is what most people know as a tornado. This is when the cloud and condensation moves towards the ground, creating a funnel cloud. A funnel cloud. It's called a condensation funnel. Okay. Other evidence. We see hail. Right before the tornado, we usually see a lot of hail. Typically, there will be rain and then a hailstorm and then the tornado. Many times, people report larger than average size hail with the storm. Sometimes you'll see small pea-sized hail. Other times, you'll see quarter-size hail. Other times, we've heard of baseball and even grapefruit-sized hail balls. I've seen it. I've seen this happen. Renee Stevie says at night, look for blue or green flashes near the ground. Look for blue or green flashes near the ground. It means high winds are present and a tornado could be possible. Usually you will see those blue or green flashes near electrical power stations, electrical boxes, because the wind is hitting there, causing short circuits. Electrical. Also, sometimes you will see lightning bolts doing basically the same thing. Lightning bolts associated with the tornado funnel cloud. Okay? Again, you're going to hear the roar, a loud roar. Many times you're going to hear a loud roar that many people say is like a freight train, just as I've described. Yes, it does sound like a freight train. If you believe a tornado is approaching, get into a basement or a safe place. It's better to be cautious and be safe than not do it. It's better to be cautious and safe than say, oh, it's not going to hit me. It can. I've had so many people that have told me, oh, it's not going to hit me. And then it does. We need to be more safe than sorry, guys. We need to be more safe than sorry. Renee Steffi's here in the chat says, not all signs of a tornado are visible. You're right. Funnel clouds are not typically visible until they begin to collect dust and debris from the ground. You're right. But sometimes you can see the funnel gray. Not all the time, and some of these funnels are white as well, but not all the time do they get very dark. They get dark because of the debris and dirt and such that they pick up. Inside the funnel, it's an updraft. The outside is a downdraft, and the winds are swirling like this. The winds are swirling, picking up dust and dirt and other debris, pieces of wood, fence posts, homes, buildings, cows, chickens, goats, people. Heather says some can be rain wrapped. You're right. Some tornadoes can be rain wrapped. It's a precipitation cloud. It's a precipitation cloud. Okay? One word of caution I need to tell you about. One word of caution. Some storms that produce tornadoes can have very heavy rain cloud, very heavy rain column. This obscures a lot of the features of the storm. In these cases, the tornado is said to be rain wrapped, just as Heather talked about. Rain wrapped. That can be hard to see. If you suspect a tornado, or even one that you can't see, take cover immediately. Take cover immediately. If you suspect you see a tornado, take cover immediately. Even if you don't see it actually on the ground, take cover immediately. You may not have a lot of time left. You may not have a lot of time left. Does anybody have any questions? I know I've talked about this very fast, but I wanted to make sure we got the information to you. We've already seen a number of tornadoes all across the country. We are in tornado season. We are in tornado season now. And you might as well know what's going on. Some of you have been scared during these tornadoes. I've seen it in your text messages. You have a reason to feel scared. Hurricane Heather says there's always have multiple ways to get warnings. Let's talk about the multiple ways to get warnings. Number one, if you have your TV on, you'll get a weather warning. Okay? The weather warning either going across your screen in a text type style, either across the top or the bottom of your TV screen. You might hear a meteorologist come on the air. You might hear a warning sound. A beep, 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 da. You know what I'm talking about. Now, I can never give you that warning myself because my voice isn't such that I can give you that warning just exactly as it sounds. But you'll hear that audible warning. Then an automated computer-generated voice will come on and tell you a tornado warning, tornado has been spotted either on radar or on the ground. They usually tell you where. They will usually tell you where. Then they will give you instructions on what you need to do. It will be just brief instructions. Be just very brief instructions. Get cover now. Get to cover now. They'll usually give the area where the radar has been sighted or the tornado has been sighted on the ground. They will typically give you the airspeed, the wind speed of the tornado. They'll also give you the general direction of speed, the direction of flight of the tornado. If you're in that area, take cover. Even if you're not in the area, take cover. Don't take the chance. I'm telling you right now, don't take the chance. Your life and the life of others is more important. Don't take the chance. Take cover. Take cover and take cover now. Don't wait. If you wait, you might be badly surprised and you could end up not getting up from the tornado. Hurricane Heather says the car firenado was rated EF3. She said she survived the fire. She watched the firenado. With fires, the fires are hot enough. They generate their own weather. And yes, I have also seen weather nados. Weather nados. Fire going way high in the air, swirling like this. They cause their own weather. Fires cause their own weather. Heather Richardson says back in the 80s, he worked at his uncle's dump. Burned garbage at the end of the day. One day he set off half of a 45-gallon barrel of paint. It made a large fire tornado. I can only imagine. I can only imagine that it would have been wild. That would have been wild. Does anyone have any questions about anything we talked about tonight? The whole purpose of today's program is to give you information that you need to survive an emergency or a disaster. That's what we do best. We give preparedness information on Fridays, every Friday. Okay? Again, Renee Steppe here in the chat says, during a tornado, do not ignore warnings. Do not ignore warnings. Yesterday, if you watched my program yesterday, towards the end of the program, we actually heard thunder. You might have heard thunder over the air. It was loud. I quickly, within 5 minutes, got off the air. I shut things down up here. I went down to the downstairs area with my wife and my dogs. We have a bathroom downstairs between the living room and the kitchen. If necessary, we would have gotten into that small bathroom. Gotten our two dogs and gotten into that small bathroom. That would be the safest place in our home. That's what I tell everybody. That's what I tell everybody. Renee Sevi says, don't seek shelter under an overpass during a tornado because that wind will pull you out. That wind will pull you out of underneath the overpass. It will either push you or pull you out. More than likely, it will pull you out as the tornado is passing. Don't do it. I've seen cars picked up by tornadoes. I've seen large trucks picked up by tornadoes. I've even seen a tanker trailer. I've seen a tanker trailer be picked up by the winds of a tornado and tossed. I have seen farm machinery, tractors and such, picked up by the winds and tossed. Unreal. Unreal. Any questions? And naturally, during a tornado, the tornado will knock down power lines, it'll knock down power poles. Those areas where tornadoes are typically areas where power will also be knocked out. And the power will probably stay out for days. We've seen that happen last year during storms last year. Okay? One of the other things that's going to happen this year is going to be hurricane season. We're slowly approaching hurricane season. These powerful thunderstorms spin off tornadoes as well. Tornadoes are typical during a hurricane time period. You need to be aware of it. The outer bands of the hurricane spin just like a tornado. They spin. And they spin on the outer bands, spin off these huge thunderstorms bearing tornadoes. Okay? They spin off these tornado bands. It's incredible. I've seen things completely turn upside down. Okay? Hurricane season starts June 1st. We've seen the makings of hurricanes in May, but the season typically doesn't start until June 1st. But be aware, you can see tornadoes during hurricanes. You can see tornadoes come out of nowhere. I've had that experience during my life. Renee Steffi's also mentioned mobile homes. Mobile homes. If in a mobile home, seek severe shelter during tornadoes. Mobile homes are a magnet for tornadoes. Mobile homes are a magnet for tornadoes. I've seen it. I don't know why, but every time we've been anywhere near a mobile home, we've seen it destroyed. Don't be in a mobile home. Seek sturdier shelter. If you have land at your mobile home, you can dig a root cellar. Dig a root cellar near your mobile home. Cover it up with dirt. Put a roof over the top of it and cover it up by dirt. You'll be safer in that root cellar than above ground in a house. Okay? Be there. Linda Covington says caused by weather radar instruments used by TV and Wi-Fi. Absolutely. Weathermen at TV stations use those radar stations. Those radar stations draw the weather into the radar stations, usually off to the side of the radar station. It's like a magnet. I've seen it happen. When you get multiple radar stations together, it's like a wall, and the storm passes to one side of the wall or the other. Okay, I've seen that happen. Thank you for throwing that in there, Linda. We appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. Also, I would be very negligent if I didn't show you this. We got a letter today, a card, I should say, from Rich and Trish Killian. A beautiful, beautiful card. It's an Easter card. I want to give Trish and Rich Killian thank you for that card. And it says, may God bless you with a happy Easter, Trish and Rich. Trish and Rich. Thank you so much for this beautiful Easter card. My wife and I love it. Thank you so much. Again, our mods here this evening have been giving you our address. Our address is 504 Bethel Road, Bethel Road, number 401. Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina. Don Patoka just put it up in the chat. The zip code here is 28655. We appreciate any of your cards and letters. Trish and Rich didn't send us a donation, they just sent us a card. Caroline, I really appreciate that. It doesn't necessarily have to have a donation in it, but you can send donations through the mail. People do it all the time. We get checks and MoneyGrams and all kinds of stuff in the mail like that, even cash. We appreciate that. Demon Catman just put our PayPal and our Venmo addresses here on the chat as well. At the bottom of this video here, in the top of our program description, you can see our email address. You can see right above our email address, you can see a way you can join as a member of the EMA family here on YouTube. Below that, our email address, and then our regular street address. You can see it. Right below that are our PayPal and our Venmo addresses. We have two PayPal addresses, one EMER MGMT ASSOC 591 PayPal me. The other one is rltnspd hotmail.com Venmo. Ronald-Tyler-17. The @ Ronald-Tyler-17 at Venmo. We appreciate any and all help that you can give us to keep this program on the air. We appreciate your donations. We really do. God bless you for that. God bless you for that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Any questions? Demon Catman just put up how you can join this channel as a member. There is a small fee. I believe it's $2.99 to join this program. $1.99 actually. I think it's $1.99 to join this program as a member. $1.99 a month. It's worth it. It's worth it. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Tomorrow is Saturday. Typically, we take off on Saturdays and don't come on the air, but occasionally we do. We've already told you if there's ever an emergency or disaster between the times we're on the air and the next day. We always come on the air once we get the information available and then feed it to you over our channel. We always will do that. If anything happens between now and Monday, we'll come back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. On Sunday, this Sunday, we'll be on the air about 12:30 in the afternoon on Sunday. We come on the air on Sundays at around 12 noon because we have a Sunday school class we teach on this channel called Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. We typically see 40 to 60, 70 people during our Sunday school class every Sunday. We appreciate all of you that come and worship with us in our Sunday school class. We really do. We appreciate that. That's what we plan on doing during the next 48 hours. Like I said, if something else happens, we will be coming back on the air to tell you about it as soon as we can get the information. In regards to the family that was in that helicopter that went out down into the Hudson River, again, 6 people were killed. 3 children and 2 parents and the pilot were killed in that helicopter crash. They have identified the family, but I decided not to put up their picture. I decided not to put up their picture. Okay? But I want to tell you this. We offer our sympathy and our condolences to their family in Spain. The family was here on vacation and they're from Spain. They decided to take a tourist helicopter tour of New York. They posed just outside the helicopter before they boarded the helicopter. 15 minutes later, the helicopter was torn apart and fell into the Hudson River. Unreal. Unreal. Renee Seppi says tornado paths are determined by air currents, temperature, and air pressure. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Linda Covington said one went by Richmond, Virginia a few years ago. One man died. Very strange. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens all the time. Yes, Demon Cameron said he saw a video earlier of it. The rotor in the air came down after the helicopter. The body of the helicopter literally fell almost straight down. It was like this, fell like this into the harbor. Then it flipped over. The rotor came down and was still going round and round like this and splashed down about, I say 25, 30 yards away from where the helicopter went down. Incredible. Unreal. The man who was the husband of the family from Spain, he worked for a company called Siemens, Siemens, S-I-E-M-A-N-S. It's typically associated with the companies that build elevators. Okay? He was an executive, and he was well known. A lot of people loved him. He was a very good executive. Happy birthday, Linda. God bless you. God bless you. Happy birthday to you. I don't want to get, when I first started this program, I sung happy birthday. And I actually got a copyright strike. I did not realize that happy birthday song was copyrighted, but it is. So now I make up my own. So happy birthday, Linda. We appreciate you very much. God bless you. 23 Angel Sci-Fi says the pilot called for a fuel landing, but no way of knowing. That's possible. I didn't see that, but it's possible. Marie Redfeather's here. Thank you for being here, Marie. We appreciate that. Yes, I believe that helicopter was full of fuel. I believe it was full of fuel. Usually helicopters don't take off on any kind of flight unless they have a fuel tank of fuel. Incredible. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you all being here tonight. I thank you for being here. If anything else happens, like I said, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, guys, I hope you have a good night and a good weekend. We'll see you on Sunday morning about 12:30, about 12:30 actually, for Come Follow Me, the Savior Said. Until then, have a good one. Do know that we love you. Do know that we love you. Before I get out of here, I want to share a scripture with you, as I normally do at the end of our program. Tonight I'm going over to First Epistle of John, first chapter. I'm going to start with verse 3. That which we have seen and heard declare we unto you, that ye may also have fellowship with us. And truly our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son Jesus Christ. Then in verse 7, if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another. And the blood of Jesus Christ, his Son, cleanses us from all sin. If we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. We confess our sins. He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us. Brothers and sisters, I love Jesus Christ. I love Jesus Christ. I have a testimony of Jesus Christ that he lives. He and our Heavenly Father love each and every one of us. They do. They love each and every one of us. I have a testimony of that. I bear you my testimony that you also can know of the surety of that same testimony that I have, that Jesus Christ lives. I know that. You can have that same spirit about you. Read the scriptures. Read the scriptures and pray. You will get the same testimony that I do. I know it for a fact. I know it for a fact. I ask God to bless you. I ask God to be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you again as soon as the information becomes available. We'll see you Sunday at the very least. God be with you until we meet again. Have a good night, everybody. Much love. Good night. Love you.